Kennedy. Let me tell you a story. So my senior year of high school, I was on homecoming court, right? And I was really excited about this. And there came a time when we all had to say who was gonna be down there to walk us down the field during halftime. Well, I grew up in a single parent household and my mom had to work. And so there was nobody there to walk me down the field. I was gonna walk down the field by myself. But luckily, my best friend's dad was at the game that night and he offered to walk me down the field. Now, I was super excited about this, but I also very much so was looking at the other people on homecoming court with me, and I was kind of sad because everybody else's parents were there and my mom couldn't be there because she had to work. Sometimes it seems like other families have something going for them that your family doesn't. However we feel about our families, we may still have times where we look around and think, wow, it would be great if my family was more like that. Maybe you thought that about a family that was on a show you were watching, a friend's family, a family in your neighborhood or apartment complex. And maybe seeing them makes you wish that your family was better, kinder, closer, together, more fun, etc. Whatever it is that they have, your family simply doesn't seem to measure up in your opinion. And maybe there's a part of you that thinks your family should. Maybe for some of you, it isn't that you struggle comparing your family with another one. You simply don't feel like you have enough of a family to compare. Your family experience has been so fragmented and disappointing in so many different places that sometimes the word family doesn't really mean that much to you. Regardless of your family experience, good or bad, memorable or forgettable, no family is perfect. No family is even close. Because of that, your family and mine will never be able to provide everything we need in life. In one way or another, every family will let us down. That's the bad news. Now for the good news. What if God wants to give you more family? And what if God is completely capable of doing that? Stick with me, because I think what we're talking about today can be a game changer when it comes to the way we view family. When it comes to perfect families, you won't find one in the Bible. The families in the Bible are more like us, imperfect, faced with challenges, and constantly finding themselves in tangled messes. And the people God has always used to do big things in the world have never been perfect, which is great news for all of us. One of the things that makes the Bible so amazing is that it doesn't try to hide the major dysfunctions of the people in it. These aren't stories about flawless heroes. They are accounts of imperfect or unassuming people who God singled out to accomplish His will. We're going to look at two guys from the Old Testament, David and Jonathan, who came from less than ideal families. For example, when David was a child, the prophet Samuel came to see David's father, Jesse, because he knew that one of Jesse's sons would be the anointed king. When Samuel asked Jesse to bring out all of his sons, Jesse didn't even bring out David. He thought that David wasn't worth it. Ouch. Jonathan's mother was passive and uninvolved. His father Saul, however, was the exact opposite. He was overly involved, overly aggressive, and completely irrational. He was obsessed with power and was so set on keeping it that he tried to have David, who God had told would be the next king, killed on multiple occasions. Saul was definitely not winning any Father of the Year awards. See what I mean? Totally imperfect. In fact, maybe having chaotic families is what made them such good friends. In the Old Testament book of 1 Samuel, we are introduced to their friendship. Jonathan is the son of the current king of Israel. David has been anointed by the prophet Samuel to be the future king. Anointed simply means that someone had oil poured on their head by an important person to show that God had chosen them for a special purpose. When you think about it, David and Jonathan should have been rivals because his dad is the current king. Jonathan would have been next up in line. David, on the other hand, was getting support as an outsider to take over the kingdom. Even with all that being true, they were still friends. 1 Samuel 18 describes their friendship this way. After David had finished talking with Saul, he met Jonathan, the king's son. There was an immediate bond between them, for Jonathan loved David. From that day on, Saul kept David with him and wouldn't let him return home. And Jonathan made a solemn pact with David because he loved him as he loved himself. Whatever was the covenant pact or promise they made to each other, they took it seriously. These two needed each other at a time when they weren't getting much from their families. David had been removed from his family, and Jonathan's dad seemed completely paranoid. Whatever family was supposed to look like, it didn't look that way for either of these guys. Later, Jonathan even looked out for David's life. Check this out. Saul now urged his servants and his son Jonathan to assassinate David. But Jonathan, because of his strong affection for David, told him what his father was planning. Tomorrow morning, he warned him, you must find a hiding place out in the fields. I'll ask my father to go out there with me, and I'll talk to him about you. Then I'll tell you everything I can find out. Jonathan spoke well about David to his dad. So well, in fact, that Saul made a vow before God not to harm David. Saul's promise didn't last long, but at least Jonathan tried. Even though David was taking what would have been Jonathan's place on the throne, Jonathan was still an incredible friend to David. He cared about David. He looked out for David's life, future, and well-being. He saw potential in David's life. All of us need people like Jonathan in our lives. People who accept us no matter what. People who help steer us in the right direction. People who encourage us in our relationship with Jesus. But what does this have to do with family? Remember, David and Jonathan found this in each other when their families were full of dysfunction. In other words, when there were gaps left by their families, they were able to find support from each other. Did they replace family? Of course not. But they showed up for each other in a way that a family should show up for each other. This is one of the reasons why Jesus established the church. It's a group of people uniquely connected by love and commitment to Jesus, the way he lived, and the messages he taught. Jesus established the church because he knows that we need other people in our lives. This body of Christ was created to be there for each other, to love one another, carry each other's burdens, and pray for each other. The church should be committed to each other, not just to Jesus. The church doesn't always get this right. In fact, sometimes it gets it very wrong. But the church should be the ultimate place to experience the love of Jesus, and therefore should be a good add-on to your family. Think of it this way. It's important to have family and friends. The writer of the book of Hebrews in the New Testament says it in this way. Let us think of ways to motivate one another to acts of love and good works. And let us not neglect our meeting together, as some people do, but encourage one another, especially now that the day of his return is drawing near. We don't meet together as a church just because of habit or routine. We meet because it's essential. We meet for encouragement and support. We meet because we need each other, and we let God and other people fill the potential gaps that have been left by our own families. So these people don't replace our families. They just serve as a larger extended family. But what does this look like in our lives right now? I think a couple of things. First, focus on widening your circle. Who are the people you can seek out to be a sort of bonus family? Who are the people who care about you, look out for your best interest, and see potential in you? It could be someone your age or someone older than you. Think about it like this. We've probably all heard about a family tree. But what if you could have the same thing with your friends? We all need friends for different reasons or moments in our lives. The friend who laughs with us, the friend who always answers our FaceTime, the responsible friend, the reliable one, the deep conversation friend, the funny one, the friend who is outgoing. Or maybe there's one I didn't mention, the vivacious friend. My question is, Who are these people in your life? The friends that feel more like extended family. The friends who you can walk through life with regardless of what your family situation looks like. The friends who seem more like family than anything else. Whether you have these people or need to add them to your life, I'm gonna give you a few minutes to think about who these people are or which of these people you need to add to your circle. Having these kinds of friends in your life is how you widen your circle. You're being open to new people that God may put in your life. Ask God to bring you some people, or open your eyes to people who may have already been there. God may surprise you. As you do this, work on caring for other people, accepting them, and seeing the potential in them. Be a bonus family for others. So the first thing is widening your circle, and the second is this: talk about it. David and Jonathan made a pact. Sometimes, if we want people to be involved in our lives, we have to ask them. If you want someone to be a mentor in your life, ask them. If you want someone to ask hard questions and hold you accountable, ask them. If you want someone to intentionally help you grow in your faith, tell them. Don't assume they know. Speak up and use your voice. Imagine if, in the next few years of your life, you had a group of people outside your family who felt like and acted like and loved you like family. And what if those people actually encourage you and push you to make life in your own home better? Not only would that set you up for a better future, it would make your life more joyful. It's important to have family and friends. Starting today, you can begin doing the work of building your bigger family. It won't happen overnight. Ask God to bring those people into your life. Remember, The family you're born into and the one you build is thicker than water. It's important to have family and friends.